Never mind that large sectors of our economy would collapse in practical terms if we simply rounded everybody up who overstayed their visa and got in illegally and sent them back to Ireland or Bosnia or points in Asia or Mexico. Never mind, our ever more stringent rules are making it more and more difficult for American companies and universities to recruit the professional talent they need to thrive. Never mind, and I wonder if you know this, nearly half of the United States military are non-citizens who have enlisted to defend a country that we at home are busy making unwelcome to them and their families. Now, compared to the experiences of our founders or the lawyers who have stood up for Guantanamo detainees, perhaps these are all trivial examples. And I'm certainly not saying that there is only one right answer to any one of these more current policy choices. I am saying that division, cynicism, and pessimism emanating from all over the political spectrum and from all sectors of society in recent years have constrained our perspective and our civic discourse. Fear, raw, emotional, and compelling, is the pervasive means today by which to ignore fact, to overlook reason, and to suppress the better angels of our nature. We are left with the politics of half-truths and deflections, at best without any real appreciation of the larger impact and context of the issues under debate, at worst with having to feel like we have to agree on everything before we can work together on anything. Active citizens use the power of reason to overcome the politics of fear. Active citizens know that saying never mind to facts and to fundamental fairness is not okay. Active citizens understand that membership in community means seeing the stake each of us has in our neighbor's dreams and struggles, as well as our own. Active citizens may just keep America true to who she is. You and every other citizen in America, you know what we are up against. High dropout rates and achievement gaps persist in our schools. People looking for work and yet jobs going unfilled because the people who need the work don't have the skills to do it. Small business owners, the backbone of our economy, by the way, are worried about making the payroll or making a living because the cost of health insurance is so high. Too much talent and too many bright futures are lost to gun and gang violence. Too many young families and seniors are being pushed out of their homes by extreme hikes in mortgage rates or home heating costs. Parents in cities find it hard to dream about college for their kids, and parents in suburbs have nightmares about how to pay for it for theirs. The poor are in terrible shape. Most people know that. But the middle class are 1 month away from being poor and deeply anxious about it. Now is not the time for us to lose our focus or our nerve. We all know, and the American people know, government can't solve every problem in everybody's life. But government, as an expression of the common interest and the common good, has a role to play in helping people help themselves. I still believe that an agenda based on schools, jobs, and civic engagement is not only the way through today's economic unease, but the way to write tomorrow's chapter in the American story. But it will demand of us all service and sacrifice. And with the future of the American story at stake, how can any of us refuse? For more than a year now, I have attended the funerals of Massachusetts servicemen and women killed in Iraq and Afghanistan. Each occasion is profoundly moving. Most of the time, the lost soldier, sailor, or Marine is young. In some cases, there is a girlfriend. In a few, a young widow, one or two on those occasions with a baby the fallen soldier has never even held. You cannot escape the youth, the disbelief in the faces of the childhood buddies that their friend could be gone so soon, the utter tragedy of parents having to bury a child just entering his or her prime. And yet there is a remarkable lack of bitterness, only loss and grief, and an unspoken understanding that service and sacrifice is sometimes necessary. We cannot ask these exceptional young people to give what Lincoln called the last full measure of devotion to strengthen our community and secure the American future for us, and then balk at making a far less profound sacrifice ourselves to achieve the very same ends. Now, at home, people call me an impatient governor, and I do admit to it. Some say it's because I'm from the business world where things tend to move a little bit more quickly once a course is set. Others say it's because I'm a newcomer to Beacon Hill and I don't know the ways of Massachusetts politics. Actually, my impatience has nothing to do with any of that. It has to do with the fact that for every one of us from the south side of Chicago, or the inner east side of Cleveland, or from neighborhoods like it all around Massachusetts, all around the country, for every one of us who has had the blessing of living the American story, that one generation transformation I talked about, thousands more wait. Thousands more. They are waiting. My impatience comes from knowing all the other eager, ambitious, capable, idealistic young boys and girls just like me who are left out and left back from knowing up close the costs of inaction. I went out to visit the Holland School in the Dorchester neighborhood of Boston last spring. A few weeks before, a young woman who was visiting her family from out of town was shot and killed. And a couple of weeks after that, an 11-year-old boy found a .44 caliber pistol loaded in the neighborhood and brought it into the classroom. The neighborhood was in an absolute uproar. And so we called a meeting of the adults so that the mayor of Boston and I could go out and listen to some of their ideas about ways we could help and then share some of our own. Now I want you to picture the scene. The meeting was called for the end of the school day. So the kids are taking off and heading to their buses or the walk home away from the school building as the adults are trudging toward the school building. And I had a minute or two alone in the principal's office to look over my notes and collect my thoughts. And you know how you realize sometimes you're being watched? And I looked up, and outside the window were maybe 18 or so little black boys and girls about this big with their backpacks on, all waving and pointing and all excited and everything. And by the way, I presume that they were pointing at me because they thought I was the governor. I will tell you, at 11 years old in Chicago, I'm not sure I could have told you who the governor of Illinois was. I presume that's why they were pointing at me. But when I look into their eyes, the excitement I see is not for the history we made when I was elected. It's for the history they might make. It's not my chance, it's theirs. And I see that look in the eyes of children from every kind of community, in communities all across the country. There's a generation out there waiting and watching to see whether we are going to act like we understand the stake that we have in them and behave that way. And so I say, let them look to us, to you and to me, and let us affirm their hope for tomorrow in the actions we take today. I appreciate your having me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Governor Patrick. Well, today at the City Club of Cleveland, we're listening to a special program featuring the Honorable Deval Patrick, Governor of Massachusetts. Now we'd like to return to our speaker for our traditional City Club question and answer period. We welcome questions from everyone, including our guests. Holding the microphones today are City Club Outreach Coordinator Deborah Agosti and Director of Community Relations, Missy Toms. First question, please.